For me and Lauren, Christmas was meant to be a calm yet comfortable evening. I had pictured the two of us cooking a meal at home, exchanging tiny but heartfelt presents, and perhaps watching a vintage holiday film on the couch playing in the background. It was the kind of Christmas that made a house seem cozy. Nothing ostentatious or over the top, just a feeling that made it feel like home. But things didn't work out that way. Everyone received a text first. Lauren sent me a message on Christmas Eve saying that it was too risky to travel and that I should stay at home. I scowled at my phone as I was getting into bed after supper, reading what she had said again in an attempt to ignore the unexpected wave of disillusionment. Ice storm warnings and roads too hazardous for travel. I convinced myself that since we lived in the Midwest and experienced winter storms, it made sense to stay put. The weather might not be predictable, and even if the roads were slippery, the risk wasn't worth it. I hesitated, my hand hanging over the keyboard I had just used. Something seemed strange. I spoke with my brother Adam 2 days prior, and he was thrilled about hosting Christmas dinner while our parents were on the plane. My sister-in-law Melissa had been preparing a large supper, and the children were anticipating gifts. I typed up a response, but there was no mention of canceling. "Are you certain?" I hadn't heard anything. After a few minutes, Lauren responded, "I just spoke with them, and they agreed it's safer for everyone to stay at home because the weather is expected to worsen tonight," she said. A worried voice note followed. "I know you were anticipating it, sweetie, but we don't want to put anyone in danger. We can enjoy a small, quiet Christmas together, just the two of us." I let out a deep breath. My fingers clenched around my phone. Lauren wasn't usually this cautious when traveling. She had driven in worse conditions before, but perhaps she was right. Maybe Adam and the rest of the family had actually called it quits and simply neglected to give me an update, but something about it kept nagging at me, so I ignored it. The following morning, I woke up to a peaceful home. No Christmas music playing, no cinnamon scent, just silence and the smell of new coffee. Lauren had already departed, ostensibly to spend the day with her mom, but she hadn't given me any specific arrangements. I tried not to think about how disappointed I was. Instead, I prepared a simple breakfast of bread and scrambled eggs for myself. I convinced myself that I was okay after spending the majority of the morning watching a variety of Christmas films and old television series. Christmas was just another day. I didn't need the pleasant commotion, the laughter, or the large family gathering. Then, somewhere in the afternoon, I picked up my phone, as everyone does when they're alone on a holiday, and began scrolling. My stomach dropped when I saw a recently uploaded picture of my brother. Adam's Instagram post was like the ideal vacation, where everyone was together and blessed. I clicked on the photo with my heart thumping in my ears, and the caption could have easily been a knife to my chest. My screen was filled with a picture of my whole family: parents, Adam, Melissa, and even my out-of-state cousin Sophie, along with her nieces and nephews. They were all seated around the dining table, grinning, wearing holiday sweaters, and a gorgeously roasted turkey in the middle. And then I noticed Lauren, my wife, giggling while holding a drink of wine at my brother's place, very relaxed, as if nothing were wrong, as if she hadn't texted me to let me know that Christmas was canceled. I felt my breath catch in my throat as she proceeded to rejoice with my family without me, as if she hadn't left me alone. I was getting numb from staring at the screen. And the worst part? Behind them, through the wide dining room windows, there was clear blue sky. She had lied. There was no ice storm, no adverse weather, and the roads were fine. Not a minor white lie, not a simple misunderstanding, but a deliberate deception. I continued to browse through, my stomach turning with every new picture. My mom was arranging her renowned Christmas cookies, my dad was slicing the turkey, and Adam was raising a toast with his arm around Melissa's shoulders, and Lauren seemed entirely at ease, laughing and celebrating at my brother's house. For a long time, I couldn't even comprehend it. Had I misread? Had I misinterpreted something? I checked my messages again and read Lauren's text from the night before, saying that everyone was staying at home because it was too risky to go. After speaking with them, they concluded that it would be safest for everyone to remain at home. As a realization surged through me, my body went rigid, and my heartbeat thundered in my ears. This wasn't a last-minute change or a mistake. She had planned this. She had intentionally made sure I wouldn't be there. My hands were shaking because it was a sign of something much bigger. How many times had this occurred before? How many other events had happened without me, with her claiming that my family didn't care or they didn't want me there? I recalled all the times I had gone on vacation by myself because she convinced me that my family was awful at planning or neglected to provide me with details. Each time she asserted that my parents didn't value me as much as they should have, and that maybe it was better if I kept my distance. The anger started to build up. I began scrolling back through my messages with Lauren, noticing the subtly deceptive wording and silent manipulation meant to make me believe I was the one who was pushing my family away. I had trusted her, believed her, but now I was seeing the truth. This wasn't just about Christmas. How many other occasions had she lied about? How many birthdays, holidays, family gatherings? My mind raced as I recalled all the times she'd convinced me that I was better off alone, staying home while everyone else had their celebrations without me. My stomach churned, my jaw tightened, and I realized she had stolen years from me. Years of birthdays, holidays, and family get-togethers that I would never be able to relive. I looked back at Adam's Instagram, and I saw how many times I had been excluded from family moments, all under the guise of keeping things small or not wanting to make a fuss. It was all lies. It was planned. And Lauren had been behind it all. The pain hit hard as I realized the depth of her betrayal. I clenched my fists, staring at the screen, and something inside me snapped. The following morning, Lauren called me, her voice light and casual, like nothing had happened. "Hey, sweetie, I hope you had a peaceful day. We missed you on Christmas." The audacity. She missed me? She'd spent the entire day with my family sipping wine and laughing, and now she was trying to act like nothing was wrong. I didn't care anymore. I opened my laptop and stared at the pictures, the truth glaring back at me. "Flipping," I muttered under my breath, quickly regaining my composure. Adam's Instagram says differently. I could feel her thinking, scrambling for a response. And when she finally spoke, I could hear the fake surprise in her voice. "Oh, Adam texted me that morning at the last minute." I didn't believe her. "You made a decision for me without consulting me," I said calmly. And just like that, it all came crashing down. The gaslighting, the manipulation, the years of deceit. And I wasn't going to let her talk her way out of it. This time, I was done. She was aware of what I was discussing. New Year's Eve, Thanksgiving, and my dad's retirement celebration. For convenience, she had either simply omitted to mention something or informed me that my family hadn't invited me for years. But I had forgiven them because I believed they weren't significant. Perhaps it was simply poor communication. But not this time. Lauren moaned once more. It wasn't frustration. Rather, it was stalling as she considered her options for defending herself from the victim attack. I responded, "You've been keeping me away from my family, haven't you?" I apologized for overreacting and not giving her a chance. "How many times have you lied to me, Lauren? How many occasions did I miss because of your steady yet piercing voice? Oh my God, you didn't want me there." She laughed briefly, but there was, "You need to calm down, Nathan, because there's nothing sincere about it, and you're really spiraling right now." I'm tense around the phone, but I relax as I sit here and acknowledge that my wife has been excluding me for years. She lost her temper and told me what happened, but it wasn't against my own family. Did I shoot back silence? There was a long pause, and I suddenly realized something. She was simply upset that I had discovered it. She wasn't trying to hide it or even dispute that she had done it. I suppressed the anger that was building within. Me, my thoughts going over every single moment of the previous few years. I had trusted her and allowed her to gently push me away from my family. But now I wasn't sure I could ever believe her once more. I asked, "Why would you do this?" in a softer voice. She didn't respond, which alarmed me more than anything else. Because there ought to have been a response and a justification, but there wasn't. "Nathan, pay attention to what she ultimately said, because she hadn't done this for me, but rather for herself." The tone of my voice had softened, becoming more cautious and deliberate. "I simply assumed that your family's situation was simpler than this. I was only attempting to protect you because they have never treated you fairly and have always made you feel inferior to Adam." I echoed hatred seeping into my voice as my gut twisted to protect me. Wouldn't that be the truth? Had she done this in order to maintain my reliance on her and ensure that she was the only person I could turn to when I felt alone or unwelcome? "How long have you been doing this?" I asked, my voice calm. "How long?" I paused, waiting for her response. She finally whispered, "I don't know." I took a sharp breath. "I'm not sure," I said, but her voice was nearly too quiet to hear. So I closed my eyes, trying to comprehend the weight of her recent confession. I had been wondering for years, not months, why I felt like an outsider in my own family. I spent years convincing myself that maybe I wasn't the type of person that people desired around, and it was because of her. I took a slow, steady breath. I wasn't going to shout or lose control, so I let the rage settle into something clearer and colder. When I finished playing her game, I said as evenly as I could, "We're going to talk about this more when you get home." After hesitating, Lauren answered, "We'll talk," since she was used to me letting things go and winning. However, I was aware that this would not be a conversation. Rather, it would be the turning point in my life, and I was ready. When I was at last prepared, I sat quietly in our home and gazed at the phone. My mind was running over years' worth of discussions, recollections, and minor incidents that I had written off as unimportant at the time. Now, everything made sense. Lauren had not only lied to me about Christmas, she had been lying to me all along. The saddest part was that I had allowed her to blind me with trust for years. The conviction that my wife was looking out for me, and that I had disregarded all the warning flags when something felt strange, wondering why I was usually the last to learn of gatherings or why my family looked so distant. Now that I had retrieved my texts and scrolled back, it was evident that it had always been her. "Based on past chats, I simply believe that your family doesn't really try to get in touch with you, sweetie. They never really invite us. It's usually so last minute, and I know you feel excluded. However, in all honesty, perhaps it's better this way because they never treated you the way they treat Adam. Have you noticed how she has influenced the narrative little by little, only calling you when they need something? She never explicitly told me to stop visiting them, but she gradually changed my mind. She clearly only sowed seeds, which caused me to doubt my own position within my family. She concurred with me when I began to feel out of place, which strengthened the notion that it was their fault that I had felt isolated.